New York never slows down in the morning. The sound of car horns, hurried footsteps, and glances that never really meet. Amid all this urgency, Ethan Blake, young CEO of Orion Tech, cut through the crowd on Madison Avenue like an arrow headed straight for the building where a high-stakes meeting with Japanese investors awaited. He never walked. Ethan hated delays. But this morning, his driver had been stuck in a multi-car pileup on the Williamsburg Bridge. With no other choice, he had to cross the commercial district on foot, in a Tom Ford suit that served both as a symbol of prestige and as armor for negotiation. Sweat began to bead on his brow. He wasn't the kind of man who sweated easily, but today was unusually hot, and his Rolex had just ticked to 9:04 a.m. The meeting started at 9:15. There was no room for mistakes. Not today. At the same time, Maya Collins had just finished her night shift cleaning hotel rooms at the Grand Federal, a place so luxurious that its lobby carpet was thicker than the rug in her Bronx apartment. Maya was black, with dark circles under her eyes from sleepless nights, her hair tied back, and a uniform worn thin at the cuffs. In her hand was a cup of hot coffee, bought hastily with the last of her change. She didn't drink it because she enjoyed it. She needed to stay awake for her second job at the diner down the street. Her day was divided in three: cleaning rooms, washing dishes, and taking care of her younger brother. None of it was for herself. As she stepped out of the cafe, Maya didn't look up. She had just gotten off a call from the hospital. Caleb, her 10-year-old brother, had a dangerous fever due to a blood infection, a complication of his end-stage kidney disease. She couldn't afford the antibiotics. She needed more shifts, more tips, more time. Then it happened. Smack! The sound broke through the noise of the street. The cup of hot coffee spilled directly onto the chest of the man, striding past the corner. Brown liquid splashed across the silver-gray suit like an open wound. Ethan froze. His eyes, focused moments earlier on the traffic light ahead, locked onto the horrified face of a petite black woman. Maya stepped back, hands flying to her mouth, eyes wide with panic. "Oh my God, I didn't see you." Ethan looked down at his shirt, soaked, steaming, stained. The burn wasn't just from the coffee. It was the rising heat of fury. "What the hell did you just do?" he barked, his voice cutting through the street like a knife. Maya was speechless. Bystanders began to stop and stare. A few even raised their phones to film. Ethan saw it, and it made him even angrier. Today was supposed to be the day he showed composure and control in front of international investors. And now he looked like he'd just walked out of a disaster. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to," Maya stammered, her voice trembling. The empty cup slipped from her hand and shattered on the pavement. Ethan raised a hand to his forehead, trying to contain himself. His voice turned razor-sharp. "Do you have any idea how much this suit costs? Can you even afford to replace it? Or do you just run around crashing into people like you have no direction in life?" Maya dropped her eyes, not from guilt, but from fear. She knew that tone. She'd heard it when she begged for extra shifts, when guests complained about a wrinkle on the bedspread. The voice of someone who held power, and whose judgment always outweighed explanation. A woman passing by muttered, "Poor girl, it was just an accident." Ethan turned briefly, his glare silencing even the whispers. He clenched his jaw. Every second was a step back in a deal worth millions. And he, a man who never allowed himself to fail, had just been thrown off course by a girl no one even knew. He didn't say another word. He just turned and walked away. Maya remained frozen. She wanted to yell after him, to explain, but the words lodged in her throat. Her legs trembled, not just because of fear of being fired, but because she knew one small mistake today might cost her brother the only chance he had at survival. As Ethan disappeared into the crowd, Maya knelt down to pick up the shards of her broken cup, like collecting the last bits of dignity she had left. From two opposite sides of the city, a billionaire and a hotel maid had crossed paths, neither realizing that this brief encounter would begin the unraveling of their destinies. The meeting was a disaster. Ethan sat stiffly in the high-back chair of the hotel's boardroom, his shirt still damp beneath his blazer. Despite trying to blot out the coffee stains with paper towels and hand sanitizer in the men's room, the fabric still clung to him, and the faint smell of burnt bitterness hovered around like a warning sign. The Japanese investors had been cordial, too cordial. Their polite nods and tight smiles told Ethan everything. Doubt had crept in. His carefully cultivated image of control, composure, and perfection had been shattered in a single moment. By a hotel maid. By her. That night, after hours of back-to-back calls trying to salvage the fallout, Ethan finally returned to the presidential suite at the Grand Federal Hotel. Exhausted, frustrated, silent. The doorman tipped his hat. The elevator operator smiled nervously. Everyone still feared him. That was something, at least. The doors to his suite opened with a quiet click. The room was dark, save for the faint orange glow from the city lights beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows. Ethan didn't bother turning on the main lights. He just wanted to strip out of his ruined clothes, take a hot shower, and erase the day from his memory. He walked past the sleek marble bathroom, unbuttoning his blazer. Then he froze. There was someone in his bed. His eyes adjusted. A woman. Small, curled up on top of the duvet, still wearing a faded blue uniform, the same one from this morning. Her, Nyma. She was asleep. No, more like unconscious. Her chest rose and fell slowly, her arm draped over a cleaning spray bottle still clutched in her hand. Her shoes had been kicked off by the edge of the bed, and beside her lay a half-folded towel. Ethan blinked, stunned. Anger surged again, hot and immediate. He stormed forward. "Hey!" he barked, grabbing her shoulder and shaking her hard. Maya's eyes flew open in a panic. She gasped, confused, staring up at him with wide, terrified eyes. "What are you doing in my room?" he demanded, his voice thunderous in the quiet. She sat up so fast, she almost fell off the bed. I'm sorry, sir. I didn't know. Oh, God." She looked around, realizing where she was, what had happened. "I was cleaning," she stammered. "I sat down for a second, just for a second. I didn't mean to fall asleep. Please, I was just tired." Ethan took a step back, jaw clenched. "You broke into a guest room. Do you have any idea how serious this is?" "I didn't break in," she cried. "The door was open. I had a cleaning assignment. I've cleaned this room before. I haven't slept in 2 days." Her voice cracked. Ethan crossed his arms. "So you thought it was okay to take a nap on the job? In a guest's bed?" "No," she said quickly, tears forming. "I just sat down for a moment. I don't even remember falling asleep. I swear." Ethan didn't care. He turned toward the phone on the nightstand and picked it up. Please don't call." Maya's voice trembled, but he was already dialing. "Security. Presidential suite," he said coldly. "Send someone up. Now." Within 5 minutes, 2 security officers appeared at the door. Behind them, Mr. Harris, the hotel manager, hurried in, tie askew and face pale. "Maya." Harris frowned, alarmed. "She was sleeping in my bed," Ethan snapped. Maya stood silently to the side, head bowed, shoulders shaking. Mr. Harris exhaled deeply. "Sir, I am deeply sorry. This should never have happened." "I want her fired," Ethan said. But Mr. Harris raised a hand. "Please, Mr. Blake, just hear me out for 30 seconds. Ethan glared at him. "Make it 10. Maya is one of our hardest workers," Harris said quickly. "She works back-to-back shifts. She never complains. She's supporting her 10-year-old brother, Caleb. He's in the hospital. He needs expensive treatment. She can barely afford it. She probably hasn't slept in days." Ethan scoffed. So she trespasses and violates my privacy? That's your excuse. No, Harris said gently. It's not an excuse. It's context. For a moment, silence settled between them all. Ethan looked at Maya. Really looked. Her uniform sleeves were frayed. Her knuckles were red and raw. Her face was drawn and pale, with exhaustion carved deep into her eyes. But she stood tall, even in disgrace, even in fear. For the first time that day, something flickered behind Ethan's hard expression. He turned away and muttered, I want her gone. But I don't care how. Harris nodded, understanding the grace between the lines. Security stepped aside. As Maya was gently escorted from the room, she turned for a split second. Their eyes met. Neither of them knew this wouldn't be the last time. Maya sat on a cold bench just outside the employee locker room, her hands buried deep in her lap, still trembling. The fluorescent light above her flickered faintly, casting long shadows down the empty hallway. She wasn't crying anymore, but the tears had left a sting on her cheeks, and the ache in her chest remained. She had never been so humiliated. She had worked so hard. Dignity was the only thing she had left. She had never stolen, never lied, never cut corners. And now, because her body gave out, because she fell asleep for the first time in 2 days, she might lose the only job standing between her brother and his hospital bed. She whispered to herself like a prayer, Please don't take this away from me. Not this too. Across the hotel, Ethan sat in silence, staring at the untouched glass of whiskey in his hand. The room was quiet again, clean, empty, controlled, just how he liked it. And yet, something about the silence grated on him tonight. He should have been going over investment figures or prepping for the board meeting tomorrow. Instead, his thoughts kept circling one thing, her face. That moment when she looked back before leaving. The way her shoulders tightened, like she was bracing for a blow that never came. He hated that it stuck in his mind. It reminded him of something. Someone. 15 years ago, a 13-year-old boy sat on the floor of a cramped one-bedroom apartment in Harlem. His mother was passed out on the couch, a half-empty bottle of gin still clutched in her hand. The apartment reeked of mildew and cigarettes. The lights didn't work. The fridge was empty. He sat there, waiting, not for help, not for food, but for her to wake up and tell him it wasn't his fault. She never did. He learned to stop hoping. That boy had grown up into a man who demanded perfection. From others. From himself. Because if he didn't, everything could fall apart again. Ethan's jaw clenched as the memory passed like a storm cloud. He downed the whiskey and set the glass down harder than he meant to. He wasn't that boy anymore. He didn't owe anyone anything. And yet, her name stuck in his mind like a splinter. Maya. The next morning, before sunrise, Mr. Harris knocked on Ethan's door. Ethan answered in a shirt and tie, already halfway through replying to emails. I just wanted to follow up, Harris said cautiously. About last night. Ethan didn't look up. You still haven't fired her? Harris hesitated. She's suspended for now. But I didn't terminate her, not yet. I thought you might reconsider. Ethan finally met his eyes. Reconsider? Harris didn't flinch. I've been managing this hotel for 30 years. And I've seen more mistakes made by suits in penthouses than by maids with sore feet. Ethan didn't respond. Harris added gently, We all have stories, sir. Some of them just don't get told because they clean the rooms instead of owning them. That night, against his usual pattern, Ethan didn't dine at the rooftop lounge or order room service. He walked into the staff cafeteria, unnoticed at first. Then the room quieted. He didn't say anything, just picked up a tray, sat down, observed. He saw them, the invisible workers, eating fast, rubbing sore necks, laughing through exhaustion. He looked for her. She wasn't there. Later, as he returned to his suite, he passed the housekeeping storage room. Through the glass pane, he saw a stack of folded towels and a yellow post-it note taped to the inside wall. Don't stop trying. He's still breathing because you didn't. Nurse Marla. He stood there for a long moment, staring. Then he walked away. Back in her apartment, Maya sat by Caleb's hospital bed, stroking his hand as machines beeped steadily beside him. "Did you eat today?" he asked, voice thin and weak. "I had soup," she lied, brushing hair from his forehead. "You're going to get your job back, right?" "I'll find something," she said, forcing a smile. "You just focus on getting better." Caleb paused, then whispered, "You're the best big sister. I hope someday someone sees that." Maya kissed his hand. She didn't know it yet, but someone had. 3 days passed. Maya didn't hear anything from the hotel. No calls, no emails, just silence. She tried applying at other places, cafes, janitorial services, even night shifts at gas stations, but no one was hiring, or worse, they weren't interested in someone with a pending suspension. Her hands are dry and cracked from stress cleaning the apartment. Her back ached from sitting all night at Caleb's hospital bed, praying for a miracle she couldn't afford. Each time she looked at him sleeping peacefully beneath the thin white blanket, a new kind of fear took root in her chest. Not fear of poverty or exhaustion or even hunger, but fear of not being able to hold on to the only thing she had left. Meanwhile, at Orion Tech headquarters, Ethan sat in a glass-walled conference room, surrounded by assistant VPs and AI strategy consultants, staring blankly at a tablet full of graphs. A new product launch, global expansion plans. None of it landed. "Mr. Blake?" a woman asked gently. He blinked. "What?" "We were asking if you approved of the partnership with Greenbridge Medical. They're offering pediatric tech sponsorships." He glanced at the proposal, half listened. Then, quietly, he said, "Send me their criteria," and set up a visit. Everyone looked at each other, surprised. Ethan Blake rarely visited partners. He barely left the 40th floor unless it was for shareholders or senators. But they nodded, and he stood, leaving the tablet behind. That afternoon, Maya returned to the hospital with a thermos of broth and a tired smile. When she walked into Caleb's room, she froze. A man in a navy suit was sitting beside his bed, talking to him, laughing. Her heart thumped. "Ethan." She almost dropped the thermos. He turned when he saw her, and for the first time since their collision, there was no anger in his expression. No frost, just tiredness, and something she couldn't quite name. Maya stiffened. "What are you doing here?" Caleb grinned. "Maya, Mr. Blake brought me a VR headset. It's like it shows me space stuff and robots and everything." She looked at Ethan, wide-eyed. "What?" He stood up. "Your brother's name came across a foundation I'm partnering with. Pediatric Tech. It's part of a pilot project." Maya's throat tightened. "You expect me to believe this is a coincidence?" Ethan met her eyes. "No, I asked for his name." Her breath caught. "Why?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked at Caleb, who had already slipped the headset on again and was giggling at a hologram. Then he said, softly, "Because I didn't like the way I handled it, and I didn't like the way it made me feel." Maya folded her arms, defensive. "Guilty." He tilted his head. "Human." Outside the room, as Caleb explored virtual galaxies, Maya and Ethan stood in the hallway near the vending machines. "I didn't come to ask forgiveness," Ethan said, "and I'm not here out of pity." "Then why?" Maya asked. "You have your world. I have mine. You can walk away anytime." He leaned against the wall. "That's just it. I've spent my life walking away. From a drunk mother. From broken places. For people who made me feel small. I climbed so high I forgot what it's like to fall. And now—" "I saw you fall," he said, "and you still stood back up." Maya lowered her eyes. Her voice was quiet. "I don't need saving." "I know," Ethan replied, "but maybe I do." The next morning, Maya received an envelope in her mailbox at the hospital. Inside was a single sheet of paper. "You're reinstated. Full-time. Starting Monday. But we both know you can do more than mop floors. Let me prove it, if you'll let me." "Ethan." Nyma folded the paper slowly, her fingers trembling. For the first time in a long while, she wasn't sure if this was a rescue, or the beginning of something neither of them had ever dared to imagine. Monday morning. The Grand Federal Hotel bustled as usual. Luggage rolled across polished floors. Keys clicked to the front desk, and bellhops exchanged knowing nods like soldiers in formation. But in the staff-only corridor near the linen closet, Nyma Collins stood frozen, staring at the familiar navy blue uniform folded neatly on the bench. Pinned to the top was a gold badge. Guest Services Management Trainee. Her breath caught. She reached out, fingertips brushing the polished surface of the badge like it might vanish if she touched it. Behind her, Mr. Harris cleared his throat. "It's yours," he said quietly. "Temporary for now, but if you do well, permanent." Mr. Blake insisted. She turned. "Why me?" "Because you didn't break," Harris replied. "And because he sees something in you the rest of us were too busy to notice." That same morning, Ethan Blake stood in his corner office, staring out over the skyline. His assistant had just delivered the morning reports. Investor confidence was up, share value stable. He should have felt triumphant, but his thoughts kept drifting elsewhere, toward a girl who had once spilled coffee on him and now walked through the hotel lobby wearing a badge she never thought she'd earn. He didn't expect her to accept the offer. She had every reason to throw it in his face. But she showed up, on time, in uniform, with that fire in her step that he remembered from their first collision. He smiled for the first time in days. The week passed quickly. Nyma trained hard. She shadowed department heads, coordinated room inspections, and even gave her first staff presentation, with trembling hands but a steady voice. The others began to notice. Not just her work ethic, but her presence, her command of space, her calm when others cracked. One night, after a long day of back-to-back orientation sessions, she found herself standing alone on the hotel's rooftop terrace. The city shimmered beneath her, alive and endless. Behind her, the door opened. "Ethan." He walked up slowly, a coffee cup in his hand. "I figured you deserved a cup that stayed in your hands this time," he said, smiling gently. Nyma let out a soft laugh. "You're not afraid I'll spill it on another suit?" "I'm wearing sneakers," he said. They stood in silence, side by side, looking out over the city. Then Nyma asked, "Why did you really come back that night?" "To the hospital." Ethan looked at her. "I saw someone who reminded me of everything I had to bury to survive," he said. "And I didn't want to be the kind of man who punishes strength because it makes him feel something." She turned to him. "And what do you feel now?" He exhaled slowly. "Hope, confusion, regret, possibility." Nyma stared at him, her voice steady. "You can't fix everything, Ethan." "I know," he said, "but I can start by not breaking what still has a chance." 2 months later, the Grand Federal hosted a charity gala for pediatric health initiatives. Nyma stood at the entrance, helping coordinate guests in her new position as assistant guest director. Her posture was straighter now, her eyes sharper, her smile more confident. Caleb had finished his last round of treatment the week before. He now wore a junior engineer t-shirt and had already taken apart every toy Ethan had bought him, twice. As the gala lights flickered over the ballroom, Ethan found Nyma again near the back, a glass of ginger ale in her hand. "You clean up well," he teased. She raised an eyebrow. "I always did. You just never looked." He nodded, serious now. "I see you now." And for the first time, she let him. Not as the man she'd spilled coffee on, not as the CEO, but as someone broken once, just like her, now reaching out to save her, but to stand beside her, together.